Hello everyone. This is going to be my first video in quite a while, but this video is basically just going to be over various poise mechanics and other miscellaneous things relating to poise and staggering in Elden Ring. First things first, I want to get out of the way. This video is going to be just a really long video of me testing a bunch of things. I'm going to be ripping some clips from this video to put on the Elden Ring wiki eventually. But some things that I want to get out of the way first. Poise in this game seems to result in 4 different types of staggers. So in Elden Ring there are 4 different types of staggers. There's no stagger, which is where you get hit, you can still move and perform actions. A weak stagger, where you get hit and you can't move or perform actions, but it's only for a short amount of time, like, I don't know, maybe a third of a second. A strong stagger, where you get hit, you can't move or perform actions, but it's longer, so like I think probably a whole second or more. And then full knockdown, which is where you get completely knocked down off your feet, you have to get up and everything, and during that time you can't move or perform actions, you know, standard stuff like that. The only new addition that this game brings, I believe, is the distinction between weak and heavy staggers. I don't believe there was that distinction in the previous Souls games, although I could be wrong. I never dove super deep into Poise in those games. But in this game, it seems like there are 2 different types of staggers, like weak and heavy. And you'll see what I mean here soon. So let me let me show you what I mean first. I'm just going to put on full Oven armor for this. So this guy, that's a weak stagger, or no stagger rather. But that is like a weak stagger, so I couldn't move there, but I couldn't perform actions or move there, but it lasts for only a short amount of time. And then meanwhile, a heavy stagger would be something like what this knight can do to me if he decides to do his lightning attack. So there I get staggered for a long amount of time, where I can't move or perform actions, but I'm not completely knocked off my feet. I don't remember there ever being something like that in previous Souls games. I think there might have been something similar to this in Dark Souls 3, although I can't remember for sure. Oh, that's a complete knockdown, by the way, what he just did to me. And another thing about this game is that Poise doesn't work like it did in Dark Souls 1, where it was like kind of a stamina bar. In this game, Poise seems to be like a health bar that doesn't regenerate. And this health bar doesn't even regenerate at bonfires either. So I could rest at this bonfire. I just got hit by a knight, but I didn't get staggered. So my Poise health bar is relatively low. So if I get hit by this guy, I'm probably going to stagger. Maybe one more time. Yeah, like that. And you know, obviously the more poise you have, the more health, or I guess poise health you have. I'm not sure entirely yet what weapons or how poise armor works against certain weapons, or what the poise damage values they give. So like, I'm not sure what the poise damage on a dagger is versus, I don't know, like a straight sword. Although I believe it is not weight based, and I believe that it is rather weapon class based. No. I'm trying to record something right now though. But I believe it's weapon class based rather than weight based. And the reason I say that is because whether or not you're getting hit by an Estoc or a rapier, you'll still get staggered in the same number of hits. So if it is weight based and not weapon class based, then the difference must be slight, if there is any noticeable difference. I believe that gets out of the way just about everything I want to get out of the way. Here, hold on. First though, I want to display what I meant earlier though, with sometimes you get staggered and sometimes you don't on the poise health things, like with it not regenerating at sites of grace. So if I get hit by this guy, I got staggered there. So now, when I get hit again, I should not get staggered. Do your there. Not that one. Your thrust. Yeah, whatever. So my poise right now is 50. That staggers me. And let's put on like a helmet or something. So that doesn't stagger me. So in theory, my poise health bar should be low right now. And if I rest at a site of grace, my health bar should be completely regenerated. However, if I go back over here and I get hit by this guy, he will stagger me. Yeah, like that. So, poise health does not regenerate at sites of grace. So like this guy, if he were to do the stagger thing again, it would be like, I would get staggered. Do it again. So there, I got staggered. Stagger. No stagger. I'm sorry for the time this is taking. There's really no better way to show this. Stagger. And now this time it should be no stagger. Yeah. So, poise health doesn't regenerate at bonfires. The only way it regenerates is if your poise health is depleted to 0. And when your poise health is depleted to 0, then I think depending on the weapon class that it is, it'll give you a certain stagger based on your poise. So like, he's hitting me with a dagger, so I get the really small poise stagger. But if I were to get hit by something big, like say the Lindell Knight over here, let me just get rid of that guy real quick. If I were to get hit by the big Lindell Knight, then it'll be something more serious. Yeah, like a heavy stagger. Because he's using a partisan spear, which is obviously a bigger weapon class than the dagger. That's pretty much all I know for now about poise. So if that's all the information you wanted, you can go ahead and leave the video. The rest of this is just going to be me testing stuff. Different poise values on different enemies to figure out where the poise break points are for getting staggered by like daggers and things like that. Because I believe your poise doesn't matter. Like your poise only gives you like, so let me put it like this. Your poise adds up to a certain value. That value is your poise health. When that poise health is broken, you will get staggered. And depending on the weapon class, you will get staggered harder or weaker. So like for example, I have 0 poise right now, right, because I'm naked. But if I were to get hit, it's still a weak stagger, because it's a dagger. Meanwhile, if I were to go over to the Lindell Knight, and I were to get hit, so these guys are going to instantly trip my poise health bar because it's 0. Meanwhile, if I were to walk over to the Lindell Knight and get hit, he would still heavy stagger me. Like that. So I believe the only thing that poise affects is your actual health bar on your poise, not the stagger that you receive on weapons. That's an important distinction for PvP, because in previous games it was not like that. Anyways though, let's get on to testing the poise values of certain things. So I already did a little testing off screen. The poise health for daggers for not getting staggered in one hit is above 15. So I'm going to try 20 now, or at least something around 20. So mid armor and try to find a 1 poise thing somewhere. So I have 20 poise. You can see it in my stats screen right underneath the equip load. So let's see if I get staggered. Still get staggered. Just to make sure, I'm gonna go rest at this site of grace. And if I don't get staggered again, then I know that it wasn't just a weird poise health bar thing. Yeah, so I get staggered every time by that. So poise at 20 does not help against daggers. I still believe, though, that different weapon classes provide different poise staggers. So if you get hit by a dagger, then it does less poise damage or poise health damage than like a greatsword or something like that. Let's test 25 now. Let's find a. Let's see, which gauntlet is 5? Blades, gauntlets. Okay. So that's daggers. That attack again. That's not it. Oh, I missed it. So, okay, it still staggers. Oh. So 25 is not the breaking point. Let's check to see if it's maybe 30. So my poise right now is 29. Needs to be a little higher. So I need maybe something that's 6. There we go. Poise is 30 now. Okay. Still get staggered on every hit. Okay, so it's not 30. As you can see though, poise, when you're just standing still and not doing an attack, is relatively unimportant. Even when you have 30 poise, you still get staggered even by small things like daggers. So I'm gonna see, yeah, okay, so 40 poise now. In Dark Souls 1, that would have saved you from daggers and curved swords. Let's try this again though, just to be sure. Okay. So you still get staggered. Yep, still get staggered on every hit. So 40 isn't the breaking point. Let's see here. Let's see how I can get this up to 45. It's 46. There. Now it's 45. I still get staggered. Although that could have been a fluke. So yep, still get staggered. Still get staggered. Okay. So let's see here. Let's check out 50 poise now. So 50 poise, what is that, 10? That's 55 poise, so I need, there, 50 poise. Staggers, could have been a fluke though. Yep, I still get staggered every hit. Okay, let's check 55 poise. So that doesn't get staggered, so the threshold could be a little lower. Somewhere between 50 and 55. Let's check that. That's 51. could have been a fluke. Yeah, so 50 is the threshold at which daggers will stagger you in one hit, or other small weapons. I'm not sure what other small weapons also would fall into that group. There's some guys over here that I can test. And I believe their weapon is a hammer. So we can test this here. See if I can bait out a hammer attack from these guys. So they just hit me with their hammer and it didn't stagger me. So I believe... Here, come on, hit me. Okay, do it again. So that didn't stagger me, and that's a hammer. So hammers and daggers are at the same poise value, I believe. Or poise damage value. So if daggers and hammers have the same poise damage value, then I would assume that straight swords would also fall into that category, as well as curved swords and smaller spears. Although, let's just check that out though, for now. Just to be sure. And I believe thrusting swords would also fall in that category. Although I'm not sure what enemies actually use a thrusting sword in this game. I guess the perfumers do. So we'll go and test that out right after this. Okay, hit me with a spear. Okay, that staggers. That's your shield. Hit me again with your spear. Okay, staggers. Oh. Hit me with your spear. Yeah, so I believe spears always stagger. So higher poise damage for spears. Let's check straight swords now. Now these are for enemies. I'm not sure how this will translate to players, or if this will translate at all for players. Hit me. No. Okay, so yeah, straight swords also fall into that category of weapons that their threshold is at 50. And when I say the threshold's at 50, I mean anything above 50 will protect you from getting staggered in one hit by those weapons. So straight swords fall into that category, daggers fall into that category, hammers fall into that category. I'm gonna check, see if great swords do or not. Okay. Oh, that's a spear, actually. That spear does, though. So this guy's spear doesn't stagger in one hit. So never mind, spears do fall into that category. It's just that that guy over there was always just doing strong attacks on me. I suppose. So spears, daggers, hammers, straight swords, basically anything that isn't a great sword or above, it seems, would fall into that category of staggers at 50 and lower. Although, just to be sure, let's think here. Where's an enemy with... Oh, wait, Lindell Capital. They have plenty of guys with great swords. Trying to think where would be the best spot. Probably the Avenue Balcony. To find Lindell Knights with great swords. So let's see here. Let's go find a knight. There should be a couple in here somewhere. Here, hold on. Make it easier on your guys' eyes. You just... lantern. So that way we can see a little bit. There's a knight. Not the one I was looking for, though. Okay. There's a knight. And this guy... Here, hold on. Before I do anything like that. Switch to my actual weapon. So this guy has a curved sword. If he could do something other than that, that would be wonderful, though. Oh. What's my poise at right now? My poise is still... Oh wait, I forgot I had a different thing on. Okay. Come on, use your curved sword. Curved sword. Hit me with it. Okay. So curved swords also fall into that category. Not surprised there. Okay, you though. So yeah, great swords do not fall into that category. So I believe the cutoff point is when you get to great swords or heavier. And that also would apply to great thrusting spears, great spears, and things like that. Halberds, maybe? I'm trying to think about what enemies use a halberd. I'm not sure. That's something that'll have to be tested with players and not enemies. Because I can't think of anything off the top of my head that would have a dagger. Or not a dagger, a halberd. So let's see here. So daggers, thrusting swords, straight swords, curved swords, spears, and hammers, and flails. Let's check flails. These guys here that have flails. If my hunch is right, though, it's basically anything below great. So anything that isn't great in size by the game's classifications staggers at 50 and below. Let's find that out. Let's see how true that is. Let's see, I believe this guy has a flail. He has... Oh, this guy has a halberd. I think. I forget what type of weapon that is. I believe it's a halberd though, so... So halberds also fall into that category of things that don't stagger in one hit at 50 and above, or that do stagger at 50 and above. So flail, something similar. Yeah. Well, it could be these guys are just small too. I'm not entirely sure. These are just very rough estimates. Like very, very, very rough. Let's think. Let's check ranged weapons. So let's head to somewhere ranged. Or where there are ranged weapons. Probably a fort somewhere. Not Fort Farah. That one's the one that's infested with guys. Oh wait, hold on. Here. Yeah, it's Stormvale. Stormvale should have guys with all that. Oh, I didn't check axes too, so I'll have to check that later. Ooh, or talons. Let's check talons now. So yeah, those don't stagger in one hit, I figured. Let's see. So talons or fist type weapons don't stagger in one hit. I'm trying to think about what enemies use halberds that are like relatively human sized. There aren't a whole lot of guys that actually do that. That's a great curved sword, but I'd imagine that, yeah, staggers. Okay. Yeah, and from what I'm seeing too, is that when you do get staggered by great weapons, their stagger is a heavy stagger and not a weak stagger, like it always is with the smaller weapons. So this guy, since he's using a great weapon and he's staggering me, I get heavy staggered where I can't move for a while. It's not just a short period of time. So let's go check on these guys. So I believe my theories are correct. Oh. Okay, crossbow. Also does not stagger. Let's check it again though. Yeah, so spears. Okay, I figured. These guys are humans. So, or humanoid. So I'm comfortable in associating these poise damage values with regular players too. Doesn't stagger. I know some attacks in this game don't stagger at all. Yeah, I don't think crossbows stagger at all. Oh, just for those who aren't aware, torch poles are technically spears, or they're classified as spears. I actually have one right here. It's technically a spear. So, for anyone who is wondering. Yeah, but I can sit here and get shot all day by crossbows. I don't think they stagger. Yeah, so like this guy can keep shooting me. Crossbows don't stagger. Yeah, it looks like a pin cushion. Oh, that did stagger actually. So I guess they do some damage, but it's just very, very little. I'm not sure how much damage I'd have to take though. I'm not sure how much poise damage they deal. It has to be very little. Yeah, so they can stagger because their poise damage is so little that it almost doesn't stagger. Or it might as well not stagger. So this guy, come here. You have a straight sword. Yeah, okay, as I figured. Alrighty. Let's think. What enemies are there that I haven't tested yet? Or what small weapon classes have I not tested yet? I haven't tested axes. Clubs are technically hammers. Yeah. Tested flails. Flails also don't stagger. I guess I could test axes. I'm trying to think about what enemies actually have axes though. There's not very many that do. Believe the only enemies that have axes off the top of my head are these guys down in Castle Morn. So I'm gonna head there. Or any enemies that are humanoid that have axes. There are plenty of enemies in this game that use halberds and axes and these other weird weapons that aren't humanoid, but then at that point the problem becomes, are the poise damage values comparable? Because they're not human, they're like 10 times my size. So let's check this out. Well, let's test dog bites too, actually, because I'm curious. Do dogs always stagger? Because I know like rats are notorious for staggering every single time. So those guys, okay, so dog bites also fall into the category of small weapon types, or medium weapon classes. So I don't believe that's in the group. These guys, is that a curved sword? I believe it is. Yeah, curved sword. Okay. So yeah, curved swords are definitely in that group of things that don't stagger in one hit. That guy is a great axe. So if my theory is correct, that should give me a heavy stagger, and it should stagger me immediately. Heavy stagger and I'll stagger it immediately. Heavy stagger and I'll stagger it immediately. Okay, yeah. So yeah, the actual stagger that you receive is based purely on the weapon class slash the weapon or the strength of the attack that's being used. So like a heavy attack will probably deal the extra stagger for like heavier weapons. Like I know with some colossal weapons, you'll get slammed on the ground entirely. So that was a heavy stagger. Heavy stagger. Yeah. And he's using a great axe. It's the same exact look as my great axe that I have. Just mine's smaller. So, let's see here. What other enemies are there? These guys, I believe, have great hammers. Oh yeah, definitely a great hammer. Hit me with that hammer. Okay. Might be a little bigger than a great hammer because it's not going to be completely down because it's like a bigger enemy, but okay. Let's think, what enemies have a halberd? Not too sure, honestly. Anyways, let's check now to see what the poise threshold is for heavy weapons. I'm not sure what it's going to be. I'm not even sure if I'm going to have enough armor to do that. But we'll see. We'll see. Because I'm not sure what the heaviest armor in the game is, but the heaviest armor that I have right now is the Omen armor that you get when you kill the Dung Eater. I'm not sure if there's any other heavy armor in this game, just because I haven't played through all the game yet. But I've played through most of the game by now. So let's see what my poise is at. My poise is at 86. Okay. I want this guy to hit me until he breaks my armor. Okay, so he broke my armor. My poise health should be relatively back to normal. Okay, staggers. That knocks me down. That doesn't stagger me. So there's somewhere between 86 and 50 where there is a stagger range. If I had to guess, it'd probably be like 70 or something like that. So let's get myself as close to 70 as I can first. I'm at, what, how much poise? Oh, there's 70. Okay. Hit me until I get staggered. Oh, well. This might not work. I'm gonna go restart. Because I got hit an extra time. So my poise health is already down a little bit. and I want to try to have my poise health as close to max as possible. Something about poise health too is that it doesn't like, so the bar, when it goes all the way down to 0, and you get hit again, it doesn't like deal extra damage to like the next health bar, depending on how much was left over from when it killed the first health bar. I'm pretty sure it just reverts back to full. So let's see here. So I'm staggered, so now I'm at full poise. So that's staggered, but that was a heavy attack, so... Okay, so it's something... Well, I also wonder too if this guy is technically using a spear or not. As I suppose he is technically using a spear. Not anything great. So I'm actually gonna put my armor back at 50 or 51 to see if he'll still stagger me in one hit or not. Come on. So that staggers. Alright. Yeah, okay, so no, he's just using a regular spear. Alright, let's go find a guy with something great. I believe there's guys at the Stormfront gate that have great weapons. Like, I think there's one enemy there that does have a great sword. So I'll just have to find out which one that is. And then have him just hit me over and over again. To figure out what the threshold is. Okay. That guy has a hammer. Okay, so yeah. Doesn't stagger me initially. This guy also has a hammer, I don't need to test with him. Has a straight sword, not a great sword. Straight sword. Maybe there isn't a guy with a great sword here. I do not think there is. Now that I'm running around. Unfortunate. We'll just have to find one, I guess. So, which enemies have great swords? I know there's a guy in the tutorial area, the first boss, or the first optional boss. He's like a mini boss. He has a great sword. So I guess I can check there. Oh wait, that's not where I need to go. Okay. Alrighty. Just gonna run through here. hoping that I didn't kill this guy already, but I think I already did. Yeah, I already did. Shit. Alright, no big deal. Ah, what enemies have great swords? What humanoid enemies are like relatively human? I think the Cathedral of Dragon Communion has an enemy with a great sword. That guy, I believe, has a regular straight sword. This guy, I believe, also has a regular straight sword. Well, that might be a great sword. Yeah, that's a regular straight sword, technically. Yeah, that. Yeah, it's a regular straight sword. Okay. Damn, what enemies have a great sword? There's gotta be some enemy in Stormveil that has a great sword. I would also think that there's one with a halberd too. Okay. I guess I could test on this guy here. He has a curved greatsword. And if my theory is correct, then all great weapons roughly follow the same pattern of staggering. So let's see here. Let's go full omen and see if I can keep from getting staggered. Yeah, I don't believe I'm gonna be able to keep from getting staggered by that guy. But it's hard to tell though, because that guy's also not humanoid. I know for a fact there's an enemy in Stormveil with like a regular greatsword. I know for a fact there's guys like that just around. Like there are enemies that have just regular greatswords. Let's check the wiki actually. Ooh, Lord Sworn's, or Lord Sworn's Greatsword. I believe that can drop from enemies. I think I have 2 of them actually. Oh, never mind. No, I don't. Are there any enemies that have the Zweihander actually? Hmm. Yeah, I think my best bet would just be to look around here for an enemy that actually wields it like the Greatsword. Let's just go through Stormvale. We'll find one eventually if we'd have to. So the enemy down here has a halberd slash great axe. Yeah, it's definitely a great axe. I get a test on this enemy actually. The only problem is that that might be considered a colossal weapon. No, it's just considered a great axe. Okay. God, the Dung Eater set is so awful. I hate it. The worst looking set in the game. Oh, you have a halberd. My man's just fell. He's gone. Okay. I might not have ever touched half of these graces. Oh, okay, I did that. Because I kind of skipped my way past Stormvale Castle on this character. I didn't want to go through it initially. And I kind of did Godric as an afterthought. Yeah, okay. So either that is a weapon, that is a greatsword weapon type. Either that's a greatsword weapon type, and my poise and the poise for greatswords just so happens to match up with the poise of lower class things, which would be really odd, or that's not a greatsword that he's technically using. Even though you get it and it's called a greatsword. When they use it, it's like a straight sword because of how fast they use it. So what about you? What are you using? Okay. Not what I want you to use. This guy's a spear. Yeah, so spears don't do much of anything. Just a straight sword. Oh wait, I thought that was an enemy. There's gotta be an enemy somewhere here. That uses a greatsword. That's a spear. There's gotta be an enemy somewhere here. I don't think there is, though. That's a damn shame if there isn't. At this point, I'm just going through every single room in Stormvale trying to find a guy with a greatsword. Because I could have sworn there was one here that had one. Like a humanoid enemy that had a greatsword. And if I can manage to find one, then my life will be significantly easier. Yeah, so like right there, because he's using a straight sword, I was able to poise through that and win that gunfight. Or gunfight, Jesus. Sword fight. Yeah, okay. I don't think there's any enemies here that have a greatsword, which is unfortunate. I'm probably just going to cut out this entire portion. Once this actually does end up going somewhere. Yeah, I don't think there is. So, let's think here. Enemies with great swords. There might be one in Lindell. I'll have to do some traveling though through Lindell to find one with a. Oh, I just thought of one. I know one. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna have to make a trek there though. And I don't know how efficient it's gonna be to actually go to this enemy every single time to test poise values for him. But there definitely is one that I know of. Now that I'm thinking about it. That guy has a greatsword. So if I could test on that guy every time. Okay, don't do your heavy attacks though. Yeah, do that again. So that's daggers, that's daggers. Yeah, so I'm not sure what the stagger value for great weapons is, but I'd imagine it's a lot higher than what you could reasonably attain, because, I mean, right now I'm sitting at 86 poise and I'm still getting staggered, so. Unless I have a way to raise my poise, which I don't think I do, then actually what I could try to do is I could equip a great rune and then test from there. So this raises all attributes. So my poise is still 86. Okay. Damn. I know for a fact there's a flask thing, or a wondrous physique thing that does that. Temporarily boosts poise. Okay, let's check how much it actually boosts poise by. So I'm at 86 right now. Still at 86. So I'm not sure how much this is actually going to increase my poise by. There's no way for me to really tell. That's with endure. Hold on. When I use Endure, what does my poise become? 86. So yeah, I mean, the only other option for me now is just to there. Okay. So let's pop a Flask of Wondrous Physique. Okay. Yeah, that's with Endure, which is basically this game's thing, like Perseverance. So yeah, I think with great weapons, I don't think it even matters what your poise is. I think you'll just always get staggered. So it only matters for smaller weapons, really, which is kind of similar to how it was in Dark Souls 1, unless you were running like a ton of poise, like really heavy armor in Dark Souls 1, you would always get staggered by the heavier weapons. Let's do this. So oh, wait, that's what that does. Yeah. I am like 95% sure that there's just no way that you can poise through a heavy thing. Yeah, so this is going to briefly boost poise. Yeah, so Endure would be my best bet for increasing my poise to withstand a greatsword. But even with that, I mean, I still... I can still, you know, not take a single hit. So I'll try it again, though. So I need to wait for that, okay, to cool down, which it did. Oh, come on, stop using that. There we go, okay. Oh, stop using that. Yeah, so that's still staggering me. So now I'm gonna drink my Wondrous Physique. So now it doesn't stagger me at all. It didn't stagger me for multiple hits. So yeah, if they decide to put that weapon art on, Determination, then I believe they will just always stagger you. I'm not sure how that would apply to regular weapons, like the smaller ones like daggers, straight swords, spears, hammers, things like that. But from what I can tell, that would greatly increase your poise damage that your weapon will do. Oh, another note on poise damage and how much poise damage each weapon does. I'm not sure if poise damage is weight dependent. All that I know for a fact is that poise, like your stagger, isn't weapon dependent, or isn't weight dependent. It's like weapon class dependent. So let's see here, 86 poise. Yes, that's still gonna stagger me. Yeah. So yeah, like there are some things that just will always stagger you, I believe. Oh. Okay. So now, let's check this out. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so in terms of poise and things like that, I don't think there's any good way to really defend against heavy like weapons, so anything great or above. So basically, if you're fighting colossal weapons or great swords or great hammers, don't try to trade. Because you literally can't. And also, it's not worth it having your poise above 50. Or, sorry, anything above 51. So any poise above 51 is kind of wasted. So let's check this out. Not that one, do your normal one. Yeah, so like even with Endure, I mean, like he can do it again, I'm still, yeah. The only thing that actually helps your poise at all noticeably is the Flask of Wondrous Physique option, where it like increases your poise. But even then, that Flask of Wondrous Physique, I mean, you'll still get staggered and knocked down by any heavy attack that he does with a great weapon. So, takeaways from this hour-long video, to summarize everything. Poise has 4 different staggers: no stagger, weak stagger, heavy stagger, and knockdown. No staggers, no stagger, you can still move and do stuff. Nothing happens to you, you just take damage. Weak stagger is you get paused for a brief moment, and then you can resume your actions. Heavy staggers, you get paused for a lengthy moment, then you can resume your actions. And then full knockdown is when you're knocked on the ground and you have to get up. During that time, you can't do anything. Poise works off a health bar that regenerates every time your poise is brought down to 0 from an attack. Your poise health is reduced either by weapon class or by weapon weight. I'm still not sure yet. That's going to take player-to-player testing, not player-to-enemy testing, because I simply wouldn't have the time to be able to do that, or the specificity required with the weapons to be able to test how that affects things, or if it does at all. The stagger that you receive from a weapon is dependent on the weapon's class, not the weapon's weight or anything like that. So a stagger from a dagger will always be a light stagger. As with a straight sword and a hammer and a spear, a stagger from any of those will always be a light stagger. Although if you're staggered by a heavy attack from spears and hammers and straight swords, then you'll have a heavy stagger. Let's think. What else is there? Oh, poise thresholds. Your poise number, or your poise counter, is basically your poise health. When you get attacked by an enemy, that reduces your poise health until it hits 0, and when it hits 0, you will be staggered. At 51 poise and above, anything above 50, you will not get staggered in one hit by daggers, straight swords, thrusting swords, curved swords, spears, hammers, and flails, and also halberds. Anything else, though, you will get staggered by in one hit. So basically anything that isn't great, if it doesn't have a great in its weapon class name, or colossal in its weapon class name, you won't get staggered in one hit. So great thrusting spears, great spears, those will stagger you in one hit, no matter what poise you have. And anything great will stagger you no matter what, from what I've been able to test. I'm not sure what the exact poise value is that you would have to not get staggered in one hit by those, but it is so high that even my heaviest armor class, the Omen set, which provides 86 poise at full health, or at full poise, doesn't prevent me from being staggered. Even with that 86 poise and endure, which is basically this game's perseverance from Dark Souls 3, I still get staggered, even by the light attacks from great swords and great axes and the like. Anyways, I think that about wraps it up in terms of everything that this video is going to be over. I covered weapon classes, how they work, the poise damage that they do, what happens when you get hit by a poise weapon, or what happens when your poise gets brought down to 0. I believe that's everything. Oh, something else I should mention. All regular weapons, so like anything not great, daggers, straight swords, thrusting swords, spears, all that, those all, I believe, had the same poise damage value of 50. So if you get hit by those, it does 50 poise damage. And as long as the weapon's poise damage doesn't go above 50 and into 51, then if you have a 51 armor plus poise, then you'll be fine. I will release basically like a flow chart eventually to tell if you're going to get staggered in one hit, assuming that you're at 51 poise. But yeah, I believe that's it. Some of this is still rough data. It's going to take a little more testing. I can't obviously do all my testing in one video or in one sitting. But yeah, adios. I believe that's everything.